Oh, yeah. I don't know.
All right, we're following this regularly scheduled December 8th meeting of Boyle Fiscal Court into order. And today we're going to start off with an invocation by Magistrate John Caywood.
Thank you. May we come together in spirit and in prayer. Here we are, Lord. Our world is ravished with disease, fear, anger, lack of faith, division. The list just goes on and on. We face difficult times and difficult challenges. However, you will show us the way if we will just listen. Open our hearts and minds so we can find love and respect for all. May we find peace together for the good of everyone. There are so many in pain and hurting in so many ways and have lost their way in life. We ask for the wisdom, determination, and leadership to help them in these difficult times. Wrap your loving arms around all of us and guide us with your love and your caring. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Great prayer. And where you can, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic,
nation,
under
indivisible,
God.
liberty for all. All right. Next on the agenda is to approve the prior meeting minutes.
All for approval.
You have before you. Motion made to approve them by Magistrate Salmon.
I'll second them.
A seconded by Magistrate Gay. Discussion. There being none, all those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 All right. All those to the negative signify by saying aye. Motion to approve the minutes carries. Thank you for that. Next, we're going to pay some bills. Is Mariah on? Yes, Mariah. Yeah, unmic yourself and. There's a
My
few,
computer doesn't have a mic, sorry.
okay, come on in.
So the bills to be approved to pay, which a few things got added this morning for debt service, and EMS operations and such. The bills total is $774,802.89. The standing order total is $48,129.61.
This is Jamie. I'll make the motion to approve the bills as presented.
All right. Master Gay makes a motion to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second?
Salmon seconds.
Salmon seconds. All right, discussion on the bills. I tell you, because we're doing video, it will help me if each magistrate on a vote will raise their hand or give me the thumbs up sign or something, whichever way they decide to vote. It will help me better than audibly be able to know who's voting and everything. So all those in favor of paying the bills as presented, raise your hand. All right, I can't see John and Phil. Give me your
Aye.
votes. Aye, okay.
Aye.
Phil? Phil was aye also. All right. All right, I'll do the roll call henceforth. Okay, let's do the roll call right now. Jamie Gay.
Yes.
All right, Jason Cullen.
Yes.
All right, Phil Salmons,
Yeah.
John Caywood,
Yes.
and Ronnie Short. Yeah, he raised his hand, yes, and Tom.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Approve the bills. Thank you for that. Next, we have budget transfer. Keagan is on.
We got a few budget transfers. First one you see is for the election tabulator. Next you see, COVID-19 expenses, and that's where we had CERCRO come in and clean the building. Then there's recycling equipment repair and maintenance. That was for a battery on a trailer. And then you see the jail, and that was from buying COVID-19 supplies.
Make a motion for approval.
Motion made to approve the budget transfers by Magistrate Ellis. Is there a second?
Caywood second.
Caywood seconds it. Any discussion? There being none, we'll go roll call. Jamie Gay,
Aye.
Ronnie Short. Aye. Jason Cullen.
Aye.
All right, Phil Salmons,
Aye.
John Caywood,
Yes.
and Tom.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for that. Okay, the cash transfers.
Got the usual two, for EMS operations, 100,000, and for jail operations, 120,000.
I'll make that
Okay.
motion to approve the cash transfers.
Motion made by Magistrate Gay to approve the cash transfers. Is there a second?
Hammond seconds.
Salmon seconds the motion. Discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying, no, give me a roll call. Jamie Gay,
Aye.
Ronnie Short. His hand's up, aye. Jason Cullen.
Aye.
All right, Phil Salmons,
Aye.
John Caywood,
Aye.
and Tom.
Aye.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Now we're ready to move into consent calendar. All right, first on my agenda is Duane Campbell. Duane, you're on.
I'm here.
Good.
Can you hear
I'm
me?
glad.
All right. I think what we had was just to get an update or a report back from after the last meeting about Constitution Square. Is that what's on the, I haven't seen the agenda. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the agenda is to give us an update on like the sidewalk, the roof, estimates, anything that you can give us an update on, if I remember the inquiry correctly.
All right. The judge had a great idea on the sidewalk that we've been trying to research. And of course, with everything else going on, you can't get people to answer phone calls. But I finally was able to find the material. We were looking at a alternative material to put underneath the brick to stabilize it instead of putting concrete to save some cost. I found that last week finally, and it looks like it's about 10% of the cost of concrete. Thank goodness. So we're going to pursue that further. And of course, the other thing was just holding off a little bit because of we weren't sure where our cash flow was going to be. But we are moving forward on that now, or will be. And we'll get this set up and probably be coming back then with the permission to bid, put out for bids, or we can talk about more whether or not. I think we need to just bid it, and that way a contractor can stay in there and get it done. But should be able to cut that cost hopefully significantly. And then that will give us money left over to use for the roofs, or a roof, sorry. We talked with Keagan last week too, and kind of was able to clarify what part of your discussion that you had last meeting about the budget and how it's set up. And I think it's just terminology. The line item in the budget does say roof rather than sidewalk, but we can shift those funds from one line to the other. You were talking about the withdrawal. I would recommend you go ahead and do that withdrawal. That would just be extra cash for us to use for one of these two projects as we get into it. The roof project cost will be more than we budgeted for, because about a month after we budgeted, I got word back that the price of materials, as we know, has gone up drastically, but we'll get further into that and see where we are. But we should have everything ready to go. Hopefully, as soon as, weather breaks, February, March, we'll get going on both of these projects and get them done.
You need a motion on that 42,000?
I thought we did that last court session. Somebody,
We rescinded it.
We rescinded it.
we rescinded it? Okay,
We need the motion.
I'll make the motion.
It's 40, let me tell you now.
hold on a second.
42,210.94.
So moved.
Does everybody understand that 42,210.94 is from the fund in Louisville? And that's the disbursement.
A second.
Motion made, by Tom, Magistrate Ellis, and seconded by
Sorry.
Magistrate
Colin.
Cullen. Yeah. Is there any discussion on the motion? Being none, I will go roll call. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short. Yes, hand wave. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Salmons,
Yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Unanimous, it passes. The motion passes. Thank you for that. Next,
Well, one other thing, the judge and I are going to go down and look at row house 3, and we're going to go up on the 3rd floor and look at that. I mentioned to him some concern about the steps that go from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor, and having somebody going up and down those steps every day. So we're going to go back down and review that. I did find a unit, Jason, that just plugs into 110 that would probably work as far as heating and cooling that space if we decide to use it for that purpose. So there is a unit out there that's available, a lot less expensive than having somebody come in and actually install something. I'd rather not cut a hole in the wall if I can help it. So I'm looking into that.
Okay, that'd be great. And let me know when you're
There's not a
going. I'd love to join y'all.
I'll give you the calendar, but we'll figure that out when to go down and look at it.
Yeah, just let me know so I can join.
Duane, is that a heating and cooling unit?
Yes.
it's like a split heat pump.
Right. The only thing we would have to probably do, we have to run a vent, but there is a window up there that we can put a vent through a window. So that won't be an issue. We may have to run a little vent out the window.
All right, next, Duane, talk about the resolution. What everybody has before you, and Duane's here to answer any questions regarding it. Everybody, I hope, has had time to read this resolution. This has come from the County Judge Executive Association and from KCO, Shelley Hampton, who helped write this. I think it answers the mail, which we did something similar to this by resolution last year.
Right.
And so this is a fresh, updated, new version of what we did last year. Does anybody have any questions about the resolution before?
No, I'll make the motion. We go ahead and approve the resolution.
Second.
Jason Collins.
Motion made, approved by
Magistrate
Collins.
Gay.
Who's
Gay, second.
seconded by who?
Gay.
Okay, Gates. All right, great. Any discussion on the resolution before you?
Judge, I bring up so that the public understands what's going on here. In just one circumstance, kind of between Magistrate Salmons and my district, actually the constituent was mine, the area was his. A gentleman was driving on one of our roads, one of the state roads actually, and not only blew his tire, but it shattered his aluminum rim, and he might even have tie rod damage. It's that kind of message that we need to get to the public so that they understand that, yes, this is a gas tax, but one incident like that, which would not be paid for by your insurance company, would far outstrip what you would have to pay in a year's time with normal driving, with what we're having to do to help is it a $600 million figure that the state is trying to look at so that we can improve the roads? But regardless of what that figure is, we need the public to understand that the tiny bit of gas tax that they'll be paying would be far outstripped by any accident like the one that I just described.
Just for matter of record, I'm gonna read the resolution, which has yet to receive a number from the clerk. But the resolution is support to address the modernization of Kentucky's transportation funding mechanisms to address transportation funding needs throughout the Commonwealth, period. So, any further discussion or comments about the resolution?
And it actually, Tom, it's a $900 million shortfall. And that's,
Yeah.
significant amount of needed funding. And also, I do think that this is an important resolution, but this is an issue that is going to continue to need a lot of study as we continue to decrease our dependence on gas, and as more and more hybrid and electric vehicles come into use, we're going to have to find a way to continue to fund our infrastructure, particularly our roads and transportation infrastructure as we move into the future.
Yeah, and I'm going to slightly disagree with Tom here for one quick second, only that I don't think we should really discuss this as a gas tax anymore, but this is definitely a transportation funding. The funds are derived from people utilizing the roadways. So, let's get away from the whole gas tax talk. It's really not a gas tax because it's paid on the wholesale. So the consumer is not really seeing it. It is definitely just a refunding basically is what it is to get our transportation roads up to where they need to be. And Jamie, I believe there's actually language in this regarding some electric vehicles and hybrids as well. So anyway, but yeah, this is a must.
You see, so in the additional, the first whereas resolution, it talks about all the freight miles, the river ports, the transit networks, the bridges, the airports. It's a transportation funding resolution of support, and that's the main thing. And we did this virtually last year when it was called a gas tax, but that's not the nomenclature they're using this year, appropriately so. So, any further discussion?
Judge, it's Caywood. I might just add that I think all the counties are being asked to send this message to Frankfurt of our support for this issue. Is that not correct?
That is correct, Magistrate Caywood. All the counties are being asked through the KCJEA and KCO, and probably KMCA, I don't know, but yes, every county is being asked to consider this resolution as drafted. And we're probably at this point in time at the halfway mark of all counties responding by this time, at least in my estimation.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short. Hand waved affirmative. Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Magistrate Simmons.
Yes, and Judge, KMCA is also sponsoring the Magistrate Association.
I mentioned them a while ago too. I thought they were. And Magistrate Caywood.
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you for your support of this resolution, and we will send that on to Frankfurt today.
One
Judge,
comment about that, Judge, if I may, and that our revenue has probably decreased 20 or 25% over the last 6 years. Our asphalt costs have gone up about that much in the last 6 or 7 years. And I think the thinking behind all this was that as the gas tax revenue declined, that asphalt costs would decline because oil prices should be decreasing, but that's not been the case. So that's one of the, at least the pitfalls or whatever words you want to use to describe that. That's been one of the big issues.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Before I leave Duane on the agenda, I just make a note that I received an agreement between the state and the federal government on the funding for the trail completion. And now that we have that agreement in hand, I will release the funding opportunity for that project to move forward, whether it be completed or be initiated this year or later. Is that correct, Duane?
Yes, and as soon as you sign, well, you and I'll talk about that this afternoon or tomorrow, but as soon as we get that letter signed and I'll deliver that to them, I'll discuss with them what their capabilities are at this time. I mean, I don't know if they're totally closed down for the winter now, or if they still have some folks that are working, because, there's some tiles that have to go in out there. Those can be put in, rock put over top of those. There's some things they could do as long as it's not just absolutely terribly muddy, and then be in preparation to do the grading and put the gravel and blacktop down in the spring.
This is on the trail grant for everybody. Just a refresher, this is something we've already approved, but I was waiting on some documentation from Frankfurt and before we could authorize the release of funds. And we now have that documentation, and just letting everybody know that came in yesterday, I believe.
Yes, it did.
So anyway, that's all I got for you, Duane. Anything else?
Judge.
Thank-
Judge.
Yes,
Judge Caywood here.
Yes,
Can I
sir.
ask Duane a question? Can I ask Duane a
Yes,
question?
sir.
Duane, you with me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
From Bob Allen on Maple Avenue, from Bob Allen all the way to Harrisburg Road, there's a tremendous amount of trash. Could you see if the state could clean that up a little bit? Also, could the state possibly kind of check around the overpass, the road on the overpass, you know how that the ditch gets filled up with stuff, and with winter coming on, there's a chance of freezing down there, and there's not much room to maneuver when you're going through the overpass. So if we could do that now before winter really sets in, that would be most helpful.
Yeah, I will mention that to them again. Yes, I think they just need to go there and clean those ditches out again.
Yeah. It keeps that water from collecting down there, and then it freezes. So it really affects the road down there, and the potential for slip for road sliding, car sliding. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Duane, related to that, the same thing out my way, you've got 2 or 3 of the states needing to work on.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Duane. Next on our agenda, we have Adam Gray, Tim Montgomery, who are online at the request of the court to discuss the current, and answer any questions about the current status or state of the Convention Bureau. We've heard that I guess that has resigned, and of course we know that Jennifer has moved on to another opportunity with the Contagious for Better Transportation. So I guess we just want to get a kind of from the inside view of what's going on with Convention Visitors Bureau. Guys?
Yeah, I'd like to, we held a special called meeting 30 November, and we brought back Jamie Payton into an administrative thing, just kind of to make sure we had telephones answered and everything else. And we're going to create a job description before we move forward with hiring a new executive director.
But yeah, she's serving as the interim executive director now. Her and I've stayed in touch quite a bit over the last 5 days. So she's on it. She was working this weekend. She worked the first day before she was actually hired. And then as far as the board member, yeah, Brittany, she resigned, and that was prior to Jennifer getting a new job. So you should be hearing from the chamber soon. They'll give you 3 candidates, and it'll be up to the judge and Mayor Paris to mutually decide on a person to serve the chamber as their representative. But I mean, as far as kind of the way I see CVB is, I mean, the dollars we collect from these hotels and these Airbnbs needs to be re-spent on marketing. I mean, to me, that's what it is. It's a marketing for Boyle County and Danville. So I think the board feels that way. I think the executive director, the interim, she understands that. And so that's kind of where we're at moving forward. We want to promote this area and get as much money, out of people's pockets and spend it here in Boyle County and Danville as we can. So.
That's great, Adam. One, this is Jason Cullen. Thank you very much for stepping up and filling Brittany's shoes here and making this a priority. We really appreciate it. And number 2, I think Jamie is an excellent choice. I've always said she's a hard worker with many of the different things she does around this county. So I'm really happy to see that you guys brought her in to fill that very much needed void. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Adam Caywood here.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to compliment you all on the newspaper article that was probably a week, 2 weeks ago, right after Jennifer left. But yeah, I thought it explained things well, and keep up the marketing to the public here so they know how CVB is doing and that you all are making progress, and Jamie's filling in the good job that she'll do for you. So just be sure the citizens here know that also, please.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Any other questions or comments of either Adam or Tim?
I have a question for Adam, not relating to CVB though.
Go for it.
So as a sitting member of the Perryville City Council, correct?
Yes.
All right. There was an article put in the paper this morning that we actually got an advanced copy of regarding a shortfall that the Senior Citizen Center is going to have a gathering place. And looking at the numbers, I don't know if it's exact or not, but they said the Senior Center is delivering a lot of meals now, and about 4% of those is going to Perryville.
Yeah, I read
I don't
that.
I don't know if that's within the city limits or just in general. Regardless, I didn't know maybe if you and the magistrate from that area, Mr. Ellis, could possibly talk the council and the mayor into looking to see about a contribution, any contribution to help them with that shortfall. That would be.
I did the math yesterday. It's like $2,800. 4% of that 70,000. So.
Well, I don't know if you can look forward, but I mean the total, if you look at it this year, it's about $375,000 is their needed operating budget. And so 4% of that's a little different, but I'm sure they'll take whatever Perryville can spare.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be brought up at our next meeting.
Good.
So, but yeah, I'll be happy to meet with Tom.
And I'll make the same ask of our magistrate from Junction, Mr. Short, see if he can work with the mayor and the council over there as well.
But I think I don't know if they're on this call, I think as a Perryville City Council and probably Junction too, we'd want to see the actual figures of what is being delivered and to whom or to where, just to kind of verify before we.
Of course. Well, it's my understanding that Ben, maybe about a month ago, was going to try to reach out to both mayors. So
Okay.
I don't know if he has or not. So, but yeah, any help you can give with, of course, with verified facts would be great.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll move on to the next area.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Angie Muncy, you got
Good
a lot.
morning.
Hey, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
How is everybody this morning?
Doing just fine.
We're fine.
Good.
Good, good.
All right. First thing it looks like I need to request approval of my new part-time convenience center floater, Jenny Upton.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second this, Caywood.
Collins
Aye,
first.
By Master Cullen, second by Magistrate Caywood to approve a part-time hire floater, Jenny Upton, immediately. Is there any, discussion? All
That
those
we
in
need
favor,
to,
roll call.
she'll be hired at 9:50 and her start
9:50.
date is 12/2.
12/2?
Yes.
Okay, all right. It's retro, but this is a situation, she's not paid unless she works. Is that right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Roll call, Jamie Gay.
Yes.
Let's see, Phil Salmons. Ronnie Short says yes. Phil Salmons says yes. John Caywood.
Yes.
Jason Cullen.
Yes.
Tom Ellis.
Yes.
All right, the motion to hire, Ms. Upton is approved. Thank you. Next.
Okay.
Convenience center.
Yes, I have had to make some serious changes. You know, this worker shortage, inmate shortage, and all this other good stuff, and people retiring has sort of left me grasping, changing things, trying to save us money at the same time and get what we need to do. You all have a copy of the proposal. Forkland, what do you all need explained? I mean, I can sit here all day and we can talk about it, but it's in your hands. So
The one
shoot the
question I
questions.
have is just looking at the numbers of what's usage, Forkland tops out about 370, but yet you've got them open 32 hours a week, several days, where Perryville is at 2,800, almost 3,000 at one point. And then they're only open, looks like 4 days.
Well, I am proposing to change Forkland if you see that.
No, I do see that. So Forkland, you're going to take them down to what, 3 days a week?
3
Tuesday,
days.
Friday, Saturday?
Yes. And Billy is retiring. The way it was set up prior to myself becoming solid waste coordinator, Billy and Diane sort of had an agreement. One worked 1 week, one worked the next week, and there was never no floater needed or anybody else up there. Well, Billy has decided to retire, and he's gave me, till the end of December. So this is really what got me, looking at everything and what I could do to change things. So basically, I talked to Shannon also, and to take Forkland down to 3 days really is not going to hurt anything at all. You're only averaging, say, 9 to 12 people a day anyway. And I think Diane can work herself, the 3 days and each week.
Do you close an hour for lunch for them,
The
or
only thing I
how does
have to
that
give
work?
Diane is 40 hours vacation she will earn, because her paycheck will come in over the 40 hours a week. I mean, she'll still be part-time because it's 96 hours a month, but somehow Shannon explained to me the way it operates, we'll have to give her 40 hours a week vacation, which really is nothing per se,
Okay. But
compared to having another person hired.
do they shut down in the middle of the day for her to have a lunch?
Convenience
working 8
centers
hours.
do not. Convenience centers do not. They're
So she just
they're
works
in the
through her
building,
lunch?
they're on their own, they have everything they need. They all have microwaves, refrigerators. I mean, they take a break. I mean, it is what it is.
I'd have to question that. I don't know if that's legal, given that they're working 8 hours. I think they at least have to have a half-hour break. I don't know, we can talk to Shannon about that, but
Basically, do get great breaks, so.
well, I mean, if they're not allowed to move away from their work environment, then that's not really a break. That's a.
I don't know how
I don't
that
know.
was ever set up before, Jason, so I guess
Okay,
that would be.
well, let's get with Shannon on that one, because that could be an issue. And I see Shannon's on here, so.
You want to weigh in?
They are given breaks, and for lunch, they are paid for their lunchtime. They are allowed to, they can take their lunch at any time during that time, but they're not allowed to leave their station. So that's why they're paid through their lunch.
And that's legal per the labor cabinet?
Yes, the jail is the same way.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure we're staying compliant.
Tom Ellis here, magistrate for the district where all three of these come into play, Portland, Mitchellsburg, and Perryville. I'd like to commend Angie in these very difficult times, both in terms of getting employees and with the revenue that's coming into the county and the serious financial straits that we may find ourselves in throughout the coming fiscal year. I think Angie's done a great job. The judge contacted me ahead of time to let me know exactly what was going on. No one will lose service. They may have to schedule from their homes just slightly differently than they have in the past. But also talking with Magistrate Salmons, I think the committee did a very good job. Ronnie, Magistrate Short as well, in tough times of making this a viable change that will not have an impact on the Boyle Countyans out in those three areas.
All right, is there any further discussion on this? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the convenience center changes as presented.
So we're Mitchellsburg is going down to 30 hours a week. Is that what I see?
We're going to close on Friday.
Friday, yeah. But then you're also closing at 3 on Wednesdays.
The worker from there and put it out at Ghost Pike on Friday, and then it'll be 2 hours short on Wednesday. And I'm just keeping overtime from happening and having to hire another, permanent part-time person.
Salmon makes a motion to approve the changes.
Second, Cullen.
Magistrate Salmons made a motion to approve the changes and was seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Now, is there any further discussion? Questions or comments? There being none, roll call.
Well,
go ahead.
You gotta be a little slower, sir. My only thing is I would look to Forkland to see about tightening up those hours. If you're only seeing 19 people a day, and you're open from 9 to 5, and I would, with
3 days, so they need to get rid of their trash too. They're on the farthest end of the county, and it is needed down there. So,
well, I was gonna say with of course,
I spread it out
Tom's
where they
input.
wouldn't have to go a long time to, hold their trash.
Okay, I know, I definitely know that they're out there, and but I just 8 hours for 19 people a day is, I don't know. I was just hoping we could fine tune it a little bit, but that's Tom's area.
Some days it could be more, but that's just on the average of my number.
Well, and then you're also, when you're eliminating a day, so it's probably going to up it at that point. So
Exactly.
I just had a Forkland resident walk in my shop, so I can ask them.
Okay.
All right.
One more thing I wanted to bring up, go ahead, finish, Judge, and I'll bring it up.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes, Brigade. Short. Magistrate Short. I think.
There you go.
Yes. Okay. All right. Magistrate Cullen.
Yes.
All right. Magistrate Salmons.
Yes.
Manager Caywood,
Yes.
Manager Ellis.
Yes.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you, each and every one of you. The next on the agenda is to discuss,
Hold
farm
on,
animal.
Judge. I got one more thing before we go
All
to
right.
that. At the end there, it said that, I would like to have one more floater on the books. The solid waste convenience center floaters, we don't pay any of them unless they actually work. So, it really don't cost us anything to have them.
Yeah.
And, I'm training one and I have one and that's two and that's great. But,
I'll make the motion for Angie to get her floater.
I second it, Salmons.
All right, the motion made by Manager Cullen.
You only like it, Jason, because it didn't cost anything. You heard that word.
That's exactly right.
Hire of additional floater at that same hourly rate, when engaged. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
That's the only time they get paid is if they work.
They only get paid when they work. So,
That's it.
any discussion?
Move right along.
All right, Manager Gay,
Yes.
Manager Short. All right, he says yes. Manager Cullen,
Yes.
Manager Salmons,
Yes.
Manager Caywood,
Yes.
Manager Ellis.
Yes, sir.
All right, passes unanimously. Now, next, Angie.
Okay, the next, I have been working with on this dead animal removal, and I've come up with maybe putting out for bids to lease property to do this, and I think we can have the money to do it. I think it'll save money, and I think it'll be a win-win for Boyle County. I know there are some people that is against it, and that's okay. But we are a big farm community here, and people are paying taxes to support this program. And I wrote up a bid spec sheet for you all to look at. If it's okay, I will advertise it. And if you notice, the specs are there, and I have a mandatory pre-bid meeting. I learned this stuff years ago. If you make a mandatory pre-bid meeting, then everybody's on the same page, and you don't have someone coming in about 2 weeks later, not really knowing what's doing, and everybody is, conflicted and don't know what's going on, and you get bids that you have to throw away, or you have somebody that gets a bid and didn't have the specs correct. So that is why the mandatory pre-bid meeting's there. If you want to bid, if you're interested, then you have to be there.
I'll make the
Duane will be
motion to
there
approve the bid.
help.
The request for bids.
I'll tell you what, Jason
Second.
Cullen, you have to let me finish.
We're trying to keep this under 3 hours, Angie. We ain't got time to let you finish.
No, it never is. It never is.
All right, motion made to approve the advertisement bids for farm animal composting made by Magistrate Cullen. Is there a second?
Second,
Caywood.
Magistrate Gay.
All right, I heard Magistrate Gay, I heard Magistrate Ellis seconded first. So he seconded that motion. Is there a discussion on the proposed advertisement for bids for a composting site?
Over the weekend, I've received several phone calls. It's amazing how things get out. I haven't had any discussions with anybody until I got those phone calls. But there is, from the phone calls I've had over the weekend where there was some concern, might be back to 2 sites that have been discussed in the past, when they understand that this is going out to every farmer out there in Boyle County who might have the idea that he or she would like to have this on his or her land as a lease, that the county would be operating a lock, stock, and barrel within all the certified and approved regulations of the state, at Department of Agriculture. I think once I'd had those conversations and they were assured of what we're doing today with this bid process, more than comfortable with this change from where we were a year ago.
Well, they should have
Yeah.
been comfortable with the beginning because nothing has really changed, but that's nor here nor there. So I'll get this out and we'll see what happens.
All right, any other comments, questions, or statements?
Good job, Angie.
I have
Roll
one more
call.
thing. I need to address Magistrate Caywood, Judge, if you don't mind, about the litter. Actually,
we
the
gotta
litter
vote
is.
on that. Angie, we have
Oh,
to
they
vote
done
on
voted. I'm sorry. I thought you voted. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short. Yes. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Salmons,
Yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Aye.
That's unanimously. Thank you for that. What else do you have, Angie?
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify a few things with Magistrate Caywood about the litter problem. Yes, we have a litter problem right now, and it's about to get the best of me because it's driving me crazy just seeing it. I do send my employee out when something big gets beside the road as I can. We always had an employee and inmates that would take care of this. I give a list to Jailer Woodford, but I guess he's busy or whatever because some of them, still hasn't been done, but that's okay. I'm not sure, what their plans are either. If the COVID's going to continue and the inmate thing's going to continue, then I'm going to have to come up with another plan for the litter, which I can, but I really don't want to change that yet unless I absolutely have to.
Do you not
and,
have, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
But my point, that's an entryway into our city, and this I've driven it quite often, and it just looks worse. It seems like every time I drive it, and it's a state road, and I'm hoping the state will come out and clean it up. And
Well,
but when
we
you
get
see the rock,
money, to help with that, Magistrate Caywood.
oh, do you? Okay. Well,
We do, and I'm not getting no help with the city right now. So, I'm just trying to concentrate in what's out in the county. Because, as of right now, the city has not contributed anything to assisting me to work, within their, the entryway to the city. So, but I'm trying to keep the best I can out in the county that, tires, people too lazy to take their couches, to the convenience centers, etc. So I'm working at it. And like I said, I may have to change things, but just try to be patient and hopefully people will stop throwing their stuff out.
Angie, in no way am I.
I understand. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah, it's a pretty road into our city with the rock fences.
Absolutely, I agree.
And it's a good introduction, and I want people coming through there to know that we don't like the trash out on the road, and we can do. I appreciate your help. Thank you very much.
Ain't a good magistrate would get out there and pick that up himself. That's what I'd do if that's my district.
I got plenty of trash bags and gloves, Phil.
Yeah, Bill.
I'm always looking for volunteers.
I might need a helper out there. You'd be glad to help.
That's not my district. My district is clean.
No, it's not.
Already had your bib overalls on, so we'll move right along
Well, not just yet, sir.
what do you got?
It's Ann.
Yes, ma'am.
You've also got Geneva Hogue on the agenda. She was to get a raise after Ralph retired, $14.14 an hour. If you could request approval.
Okay. I'll let Shannon take over. That's her forte.
Back in October, we approved Geneva to take over Ralph's position on December 1st, but we did not approve a pay increase at that time. So at this time, we'd like to approve Geneva to go to $14.14 an hour effective December 1st.
Being
I'll
on
make that
committee,
motion.
I'll make the motion. Sam,
Second.
Motion made by Magistrate Sammons and seconded by Magistrate Gay, I believe.
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion before for the, pay increase? All those, if we go by roll call, Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short, yes. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons,
yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Is that
It'll be
it?
smooth now, Jason. I'm done.
Well, not yet. All right, so going back to litter, litter abatement that we have, that we get, can none of that be used for like a part-time person to go out there and pick up litter?
Well, I always had an employee that I used most of that money to pay him to take the inmates out. But yes, we can do that. We can also use a contractor and pay by the mile with that kind of money. And, that's it. In thinking come January, it's a January through December budget item. The money comes in and, the state is on, 12 months calendar year, but we do fiscal year, but whatever. I can always put it out for contract, pay by the mile or whatever. But like I said, I really, really don't want to start that. I don't want to open that can of worms yet unless I have
Understand. To. Well, I would think that, the advertising that we do is a good thing. And I don't know how much of that has to be used towards advertising, but maybe we scale back on some of the billboards.
Whatever I want it to be used for.
So if the court's okay with it, and if you're okay with it, maybe for right now, we scale back on the advertising till we can get back to where the jailer can utilize some of his inmates to help us get back on track. Maybe we kind of divert those funds into.
Well, he asked me to just give him a list of the roads, and I did give him the list of roads, but and I know they have other things they're doing too.
Yeah, I think that we're looking towards
every day when it's nice, it just gets out of control,
right.
And it's out of control.
I would say right now, until we can get this COVID thing within the jails under control, I would just kind of eliminate him as an option right now. He's got too many factors and too many issues right there.
Pretty much.
So yeah. And then my other comment was, I know the city has pulled back or had pulled back. Have you had any conversations with the new city manager? Have you reached out to him at all?
Here they're working to change things, but I haven't.
Well, I don't know.
Changes haven't.
I don't know if you want someone from the court to do it, or if you want to reach out. But I mean,
the city manager, Earl Coffey's been great about it. I've had conversation with a few others, but nothing's actually been put in place yet.
I've been happy with Earl so far. So I would say, not that you were trying to.
Nothing's happened yet.
Yeah. So definitely, continue to try to rebuild that bridge, because I think that's one of the things that is on his plate as well, is to make sure that the city and county are working well together. So,
Jason, if you can hear me, this is Judge Hunt. I have reached out to the city manager and had those discussions with him. He's got a lot on his plate being undertaking this new job, and I'm sure it's on his agenda. We've had a very cordial conversation about what we see the future being in regard to litter abatement by the city's participation.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm sure you have. I didn't want it to be kind of broadcast that the city's still slighting the county, given, that's the way it was, over Mill Iron, but I think we've got a different opportunity ahead of us with Earl. So I want to make sure that we keep it as nice as possible. So that was my only comment there. So Earl's been very receptive to any questions or comments that I've had. So I just want to make sure that goes forward.
I've had no problems with Earl Coffee.
Good. I'm glad to hear it because I don't think you will. Perfect.
We done? Okay.
Thank
Bill
you.
Nichols.
Move right along.
I'm here.
All right, Bill, want to hear about our phone service options.
Yes, sir. You all should have received a kind of a general summary from me, so I'm not going to go through all that rigmarole. We'll make this short and sweet. One of the things I do want to mention is over the course of the last 4 months, Boyle County pays an average of $1,875 a month for phone service. That includes long distance in that charge. Typically, it runs about $1,700 for local service, and we have an additional $200 for the long distance company that we use. One of the things that I'd been looking at with phone systems, we started about 2 years ago. We looked at an on-premise system, which ran about $100 grand just in startup costs to get it started. Since then, what they call Unified Communications as a Service has done very well. Basically a cloud-based system. It gives us a lot more portability and things like that. We have paging for all extensions for like emergency alerts, so we can SMS or text these extensions. We have voicemail to email, video conferencing up to, depending on the company, up to 100 people per extension. Faxing, individual faxing, portability. You can take your extension out of the office, basically. We also have some voicemail only options for the deputy sheriffs that are out in the field. If they get a call, they can immediately transfer it to their voicemail and they'll get an alert on their county issued phone. And various things like that. There's integrations into Office 365 and Google. We looked at Mitel. Their service came in at about $18.86, but their basic service only allowed 8 video people in their conference. You could go to their Elite for an extra charge that would take it up to $100, but that put it up to $2,000 a month. We also looked at Windstream, and their offering was pretty much the same as far as service, except for their video conferencing was $25. You could go with $100 to $500 for an extra cost. Their price came for the basic at $1898.96. I also looked at Avaya, which is a company that does some of the phone systems for the state. They are basically a Ring Central platform with their Avaya phones on top of it. I asked them several times for a quote and did not receive one. I also talked to Verizon. Verizon came in with their cloud service at about $17.50 per month. They would then charge us for the extra voicemail calls, would charge us about $3 per voicemail that we set up like that. Plus, they did not have any kind of video conferencing would be in addition to their service. The final one that I looked at, and this will be the one that I'd like to recommend, was Ring Central. They offered local long distance, voicemail to email, text, paging, video conferencing with 100 users per license. Each phone has a license, and we have 91 licenses that we have to accommodate. Individual faxing number for each user, portability to switch from desk to cell back to desk without the caller even knowing that you've done it. You have chat and SMS. You have a global phone book for the county as well. Next day delivery if we have a phone issue at no charge. I did find out though, Judge, one thing, that if we had a natural disaster and lost the phone completely, we'd have to have insurance to cover the replacement of the phone. So something to consider there. And then as products get updated, we would be eligible for the free versions of those things. Their service came in with long distance and local calls at $13.8509 a month. Plus there is a federal excise tax for voice over IP. This currently, as soon as we would implement this, would save us $500 a month in phone charges. I'd like for somebody to make a motion to have a discussion about moving forward.
Salmon's make that
I'll make
motion.
that motion. Gail, second it.
Okay, Sam has made a motion to on the recommendations of the phone service to the county, and seconded by Magistrate Gay. They open it up for discussion. This looks like it's not going to require, if I'm not mistaken by our treasurer, a budget amendment per se. because we are decreasing the monthly operating cost of said service.
Over the course of a entire fiscal year, we should save about $6,000.
Bill, Caywood
Yes,
here. One question. We've talked up through the past several years about being able to empty the courthouse with emergency, if emergency occurred. Does this phone system allow for that type of situation?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Just
You've been-
for
Say
your
again.
information, John, that was one of my pointed questions to each prospective vendor in this assessment period. How would we notify, or what processes could we have to notify people of a security incident within the courthouse or or any phone in the government service system?
I appreciate you asking everybody that. You all have heard me speak of that concern, and I just want to be sure we get it included. But thank you.
Yes, sir. It has the ability to go countywide, building-wide, individual departments. There's several ways we can set it up, or we can set it up all those ways.
Thank you.
My only question is, I don't have any of this documentation about the comparison of services.
It should have come in through an email.
And I've been searching.
You should back up on the email.
Got one from the 2nd of October, but that's just the evaluations. It didn't have any documentation with it.
I know this would have been sent out on Friday or Thursday. Sorry, Thursday.
From you, Bill?
From Ann.
Or from Ann? Hold on.
Did anybody else not get the documentation?
I just sent it to you. It was sent out Thursday afternoon at 2:58 p.m.
Hold on 1 second.
It was strictly the phone agenda, or the phone items and the agenda. It went to everybody though. It went to, does anybody else need it?
Have it. Hold on. You said it was Thursday?
Yeah, but I just sent it to you just now. Save you
Okay,
looking.
I apologize. Sometimes there's a delay with the district that gets into my thing. So thank you, Ann and Bill. Apologies.
Jason, what do you want, would you like to do to see the information before moving forward discussion, or a vote to potentially change carriers and save money?
No, I'm actually okay moving forward. I'm going to scan this real quick while we're talking, and if I have any questions, I'll bring it up under new business.
Off the question.
Is that all right?
Okay. This vote, I would like the motion made by Magistrate Salmon to be restated, but this is a motion to go with Ring Central as the proposed vendor to save the county at a monthly rate of $1,385.09.
There is one thing I need to mention there, Judge.
Go ahead.
One of the things with the installation is, and that's just so I can be upfront about this. Once the installation is completed, Ring Central will send us a bill for $6,900.13, I think $6,913. Once they are paid that amount, they will immediately then turn around and credit our service bill for that exact same amount. So yes, we will have a outlay once it's completed, but it will then be credited over the service to where we will see the savings by the end of the fiscal year.
So The motion is to award Ring Central the service contract for telephone service to Boyle County. Any more discussion? Jason, do you have?
I have one quick question. It's Caywood here. Bill,
Yes, sir.
You probably checked with people who have used this service before. Were they pleased with, were other customers pleased with the service that have used it?
On that question, I would ask if Julie Wagner is still on with us.
Julie?
I'm here. I've used it, John, in Harrodsburg, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Okay,
So
I just want to be
modern.
sure that, yeah, just, it's one of those questions you just kind of got to back check on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Jason?
So my only question is video conferencing, would we basically go to them instead of using these GoToMeetings, or it's just an option?
Jason, that is an option that is included with the basic service. So basically, once we're fully up and running with everybody, I would drop the GoToMeeting yearly charge that we have. But typically, we use their application during our process of looking around on both the Avaya product and the Ring Central product, and it was as good as this GoToMeeting is.
Okay, but it says that you got 100 per license. I guess that's,
I based everything on a 91 license because that's the number of desk phones that we have in the county, which include the jail, the government services center, and the courthouse. And so that's what I base this on. If we get done with everything and it comes in at, let's say we only use 80 phones, then we will be reducing our bill by, typically it averaged out to about $14 an extension. So, if we only had 80 phones, then it'd be 11 times 14 taken off of the monthly bill.
okay. Yeah, no, Judge, I'm good. Thanks. I just read it over. Yeah, we're good.
Move on with the vote. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short. Yes. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Salmons,
Yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Passes unanimously.
One more question. I lied, sir.
All right.
Bill, how will this affect bandwidth within the courthouse? Is that something you're going to have to expand on as well?
I've done some testing with the Ring Central application, and I think that that's something that we need to look at anyway in the future, just simply because of our demands. But it will work with the current infrastructure that we have. But I do believe that probably next budget year, I'm going to look to try to start doing a rewire of the courthouse and move through the county eventually over the course of the next 2 or 3 years to get it wired properly so that it has less problems. But currently right now, so far, every place I've checked, we can install the phones as is.
Okay. And no, and this, my only other concern would be the jail, making sure the jail will have the necessary way to communicate if something were to happen. So.
Right. And I agree with that. One of the nice things about this system is that the fact that it's coming in at the price point that it is, even if we had to add extra service either from a Spectrum or an AT&T for internet service, we've got some room to do that.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Thank you.
All right. Fire panel, Bill.
Fire panel. We budgeted this year to replace the fire panel because currently right now the fire panel is so old that it is difficult to get parts for it. If it goes down, we may not have a fire alarm system. So we budgeted $5,200. I did get a different quote in because of moving to the voice over IP type phones. The service would cost he can get it installed for the 5,200, but the one caveat is we've got to go to a cellular service for the phone panel, and that will increase our monthly cost at $10 a month. So $120 a year increase on the service to go to the cellular, but I think it's something that we need to do. I guess what I'm here to do is to ask one, we've already budgeted for this, so it's just kind of a formality to say, you know, I need a motion to go ahead and be able to replace the fire panel. And then two, if there is a way for, maybe Keagan could weigh in on it, to figure out how to get that $120 a year into the monthly service fee.
You just
Yes, sir.
need to move over $120 out of the general fund, or what is it?
It'd be for the, well, it wouldn't be that much. Once the fire alarm is finished, that'd be $10 a month. So I'll be looking at about $60.
Make the motion that we go ahead and approve the fire panel. And also make the motion that we go ahead and move money from our reserves over to cover the $60 if needed.
Going to a top 4 SA tournament. So that's kind of what.
Second.
Who seconded
Is that what-
it? Jamie? Who
Yes.
seconded it?
Okay.
All right,
Okay, second.
Motion made to approve the budgeted replacement of the fire alarm system and to include the accompanying cellular service contract if necessary. It was made by Magistrate Cullen, second by Magistrate Gay. Discussion?
Is that
All right,
motion
there being
sufficient for
none?
you, Bill?
Yes, sir.
Magistrate Gay, your vote.
Yes.
Magistrate Short, your vote. Yes. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons,
Yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
Thank you for that, gentlemen. It passes unanimously. Is that all you got, Bill? I think it is, isn't it?
I appreciate your help, gentlemen. We'll get to work on this right away. Thank you.
All right, next, we have our distinguished Boyle County Health Department Director, Brent Blevins. He's here to discuss the current status of the county, response and numbers regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Brent, thank you for being with us.
Hey guys, I appreciate the opportunity. I always appreciate what you guys do in our community. And particularly this year, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, trying to figure out how we move forward, what we do, those type of things. So I definitely appreciate you guys and your support through this last 10 months, as always, even beyond that. Let me give you just a couple of numbers to kind of just give you a little background, and then we'll hit a few things on here. And feel free to stop me at any time, ask me any questions that you'd like. We'll start out addressing the New York Times article and my response that happened through Robin Hart yesterday. The New York Times article, what they did, if you saw Robin's article in the paper yesterday, was a really good article about how that number came about and also what Ephraim McDowell's bed numbers look like. So if you haven't read that, I would encourage you to go back and look at that. It was a great explanation. But essentially what they did is they took Boyle, Lincoln numbers, combined them and said they were all from Danville. And so that's how they got that number and put us in the top 5. It would have been nice if they would explain that that was all Boyle, Danville, but they didn't do that. They just labeled it as Danville, and so that's what it is. So when Robin called me to do the article, I was really appreciative of her actually taking the time to get down to the facts and report that out, and also to get down to the facts of the beds that Ephraim has in all 3 of their facilities and what that looks like, because those are good numbers. But just to give you an idea of what we look like, over the last 7 days, we've had 30 22, 46, 54, 25, 46, and 32 cases in that last 7-day period. One of the things that's happened to us in about the last a little bit longer period than just 7 days is we've had several of our long-term cares that have a lot of cases. To give you an idea, in this community, we have, I consider 6 long-term cares. We have 4 long-term cares that are dealing mainly with senior citizen, older adult folks, but also include in their North Point and the jail. The jail and one of our long-term cares had significant outbreaks in the last 7 to 14 days. And those numbers alone, combined with one of our other long-term cares right now that has quite a few cases, are about 100 cases that have been added to our numbers outside of just what we consider the general public. So I give you that just to let you know, and we talked about this, or the governor has, particularly over the last 10 months a lot. We knew that it would hit long-term cares very hard at some point. And in the last several weeks, that's been the case for us. Our long-term cares are doing a great job. Their staff are doing a great job. But with this virus, sometimes it's inevitable that that's the way this thing plays out. So those numbers will continue to be in our numbers that you see reported every day through the governor's website or through the state of Kentucky's website, because it takes quite a long time for them to work their way out of our number. Now, that does not cover up the fact that we just have a lot of cases, and we've been about 6 weeks, like most of Kentucky and most of the United States, we've been on that rise as most places have. And, you know, it's winter, whatever we want to call it, people are around each other, those type of things have led to that number. The key thing, and I'll talk about vaccines here in just a second, but the key thing that we still have right now, social distancing, wear a mask, and hand washing, but particularly wear a mask and social distancing. And those are the things that if everybody, and I know you have, I know there's a lot of business owners on here who are having to do that every day in their own businesses. I know, you know, a lot of people have people coming to their offices. If you can get out no other message than that right now, just remind people, social distancing and wear a mask. That's what we've got right now. That will help our long-term cares, because, you know, that virus has to get in that long-term care some way, and it's usually probably through staff, you know, who go home every day. That's certainly expected. Come back the next day for work, and you know, they're exposed out in the community, and they take it back to the long-term cares. That message, even after we start the vaccine, I fully expect us to continue doing the social distancing, masking for a while. I don't think we're going to take a vaccine one day and all of a sudden we're not going to be talking these same messages for a while. It's just going to take that length of time. Let me throw one other number in there, and I'm asked this number a lot, of why the state's website still shows we have 0 deaths in Boyle County, and that's not true. We actually have 10 that have happened over the last 10 months. And we've sent that information up all along to the state, and recently we were told of another way to send it up. We sent that up probably a month ago, and it's, as far as I know today, it is not reflected on the state's website that Boyle County has any deaths, but we actually had 10. So I wanted to make that clear to everybody that I wasn't, or that we had sent it up, it just hadn't made it to the state's website yet. And part of that too is just the massive amount of data that the state is dealing with every day, particularly now with the amount of cases we have. It's just a lot of data for them to sort through and try to get in the system. You know, when we were talking the long-term cares, and that was about 100 of the cases for us, I don't expect that to go down for a little while. I expect us to continue to have those, because once it does get inside the long-term care facility, it's very difficult to put a stop on it, particularly when it's older adults that we're talking about who already have a lot of other comorbidities and those type of issues already going on. It just makes it more difficult. So on the virus side, that's the information that's, I think, most relevant at this point. But again, just don't lose the messaging. I know in the public. I know a lot of people are tired of hearing that. And I know after 10 or 11 months that, you know, they call it COVID fatigue. I totally get that. But we're going to have a little bit more of this while we get this vaccine rolling before we can get back to where we don't have as many precautions, where businesses can be rolling like they need to be, as opposed to the, you know, the restrictions that are on some of the businesses now. And so it's going to be a little bit more of a journey, but we are getting there. Yesterday was one of the best, and I didn't watch it, but I saw the update this morning. One of the best updates I think the governor has given for me recently, because he actually announced dates and numbers of the amount of vaccine that he expects to come to Kentucky. And if you haven't seen that, he's expecting this week, or starting this coming up week, for us to get the initial 38,000 doses in Kentucky. The week of December 20th through the 26th, 76,000 doses of Moderna. And Moderna is the one, I mean, I'm glad to get any vaccine. Moderna is the one that I'm really excited about, because the storage requirements for that vaccine are somewhat easier than the Pfizer one. The Pfizer one is the one you hear that has to be, I believe it's 60 to 80 below, whereas Moderna, we have a lot more latitude on how we can access that. And the ability for us to transport Moderna off-site to other facilities is much easier for us. And in the week of December 27th through the 31st, he announced that he expects 33,000 more doses of Moderna to come in. So with those figures, to me, that's a very exciting thing for us, because it gets us started in the vaccine world. Now, something for all of you, and definitely at the courthouse and all of your businesses to be thinking about now. And one of the questions is going to be, do you require your employees to have the vaccine in order to be able to work? That's not, as far as I know, there are no federal or state mandates that say everybody has to take the vaccine. But as a business owner, that is a question I would encourage you to address now. You know, we do have some businesses that require the flu vaccination to be taken by their employees. So this would be another vaccination that people need to go ahead and figure that out now, so that when the vaccine's here, that it's not a question then, because then we can make that as fast as we can if you're not battling with that issue. I know that question's out. I know there are a lot of people talk politically about that question, personal rights and all that. I get it. I'll just tell you, I'm in on the vaccine. When it comes out, that's, to me, that's our ticket, the best ticket we have out of the pandemic that we're in. And I don't see a magic bullet coming behind that. So I think when you combine that with our current measures, that's our best way out to get back to where we need to be as a society, and people back living the type of lives that they want to do. Now, on the vaccine part, for us at the health department, my task that the state has given me, and they have not changed this with me yet, I am responsible for the EMS, fire, police, and the North Point staff, which totals, if everybody took the vaccine, about 600 plus or minus people that I'm tasked to do that. Now, EMS is supposed to be on that first round, and then fire, police, sheriff, and North Point will pick up maybe that second round is what they're thinking. And they have not said anything different to me yet. The first round of doses, the 38,000, they're saying that most of those are going to the CVS and Walgreens. CVS here in our county is responsible for our long-term cares. And I talked to CVS last week, and the local store at that time did not have a lot of specific information, but I think it was coming down from the corporate level, and they expected to get that anytime. I know we've already had some of our long-term care sign up with CVS, so they're on the list. They're ready to go, waiting on the doses to get in and CVS to start their process. I will stay in touch with CVS just to make sure that we're moving down that path. If you saw, well, if you look at Robin's article on the Ephraim beds, on the number of COVID beds that they have, not only here in this facility, but also in Lincoln and in Harrodsburg, Ephraim has done a great job of working through being able to shift beds over as needed for COVID. One of the biggest issues they have is not necessarily a bed space, but staff to be able to do that. And if you've noticed their Facebook posts lately, they are continually posting that they need staff. They're even doing short-term contracts now, trying to get people in for, I don't know, several weeks, up to 12 weeks or something like that, just trying to be able to staff that as needed. But I really applaud Ephraim. They have worked hard through this 10, 11 months, and they are really working hard daily to try to give us the care we need. You have to keep in mind, and I remind people about this with Ephraim all the time, it's not just people from Boyle County that are going to our main Ephraim. They draw from about a 6 to 8 county area. And recently they've had people coming down from the southern, or coming up from the southern part of Kentucky trying to find beds. And I think it's this way with most hospitals, is people are just looking around, seeing where there's a bed open. And Ephraim has had that same issue. Now, it's not they don't turn anybody down or anything like that, but it's just important, I think, for people to understand that, Ephraim serves a wide net, and they do a great job with that. But that can also lead to a lot of people in the beds at a time of the year when they normally have a lot of people in the hospital anyway. So you add COVID on that, and potential is there for a lot more. Okay, that's me saying a lot.
If we could pause.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, if I could ask a question there, because I mean, I've been voicing a lot of concern about where we are, and that area in particular to me that's where push comes to shove. And, and that's, in the New York Times article, I think that, it is important to recognize. To me, that's where that does come into play, is our regional healthcare system that we have here in our county that takes care of that region. And so all of our numbers within the region are important. And also, I do want to make the point that it's easy to get numb to the numbers. And I think it's important that we realize that these are all individuals that are impacted in various ways with COVID at this point in time. But how do we know, and when do we reach a breaking point with our healthcare system, both in capacity and staffing, importantly?
And I do appreciate your concerns, Jamie, and I know you're a real advocate for our community, and I really appreciate that. And I know let me say this about Jamie and Center College, first of all. They jumped out there really quick and did their own contact tracing and took care of their students, which is a huge help to me. But it was also kind of a case study for me in the community to be able to see how another organization did that. And we've actually used a little bit of that model because a lot of other businesses are doing some version of that now. And I appreciate you guys at Center doing that. I know that was a monumental task with, I don't know, I forget, like 1,400 people or 1,200 people, something. But there is not just one stop that says our healthcare system has broken. I put out a post several weeks ago from the health department Facebook, and what I essentially said was, here's the deal with COVID. When our beds are full in our hospitals and our long-term cares, and people are having to wait at home because there is no bed to take care of them, at that point, then obviously it's full everywhere. And that would be the case not only here in Danville, but all over the state of Kentucky, probably. One of the things that the hospitals do, they have the hospital association, which they have regular meetings behind the scenes. And that's not just for Ephraim, that's all the hospitals. And that can help them somewhat see if there's parts of the state, that are struggling, being more full than others, and possibly can direct patients to other parts of the state if possible. But then you throw in the fact, and I think Mike Rogers is on with EMS, who has also done a just tremendous job through this whole thing. But, do they have the ability to pick somebody up and take them, or does somebody, again, like I was saying earlier, do they have to wait until there's availability? One of the things that Ephraim identified, sorry about that. One of the things Ephraim also identified is how they can work within their own facilities. And the good thing is, it's not just our facility here, it's facility in Harrodsburg and Lincoln. So that gives them some flexibility. And I am really glad they have that flexibility, because they're using that now. to do that. So I wish I had an exact number for you, Jamie, on that. I don't. Totally get what you're saying, and it's definitely something we watch. My hope, and I might be misguided in this, but my hope is that with the vaccine starting in the long-term cares and the hospital employees, that will give us enough of a, I don't want to say a cushion, but enough of a reduction in cases that it starts easing some of that pressure on not only EFRM, but the rest of our healthcare system. And so that's why when I said yesterday, to me, it was a great day what the governor announced on the vaccines. That is a great piece of news to me.
Brent, Tom Ellis here. I was up early this morning and saw that Robin Hart had done an excellent job of helping reverse the errors made by the New York Times. I emphasize errors because Murphy's Law all too often sets in when somebody makes one bad error in correcting them or taking data again, they'll make another one. And we're now faced with the circumstance you described 10 minutes ago, where we've had 10 deaths, we've had no report of deaths, we've had something that we're the 5th in the nation, and all of a sudden tomorrow it appears that we've had 10 deaths. The reaction of the public will be, oh my gosh, we went 11 months with no deaths, and now we've had 10 in one day. We need to make sure that message gets out clearly that that is a cumulative total, not wham, we were hit. And the New York Times was absolutely right when they were absolutely wrong.
Yes, I hear that, Tom, and I will definitely make sure I put that message out on the desk because you are right. And one more thing on the New York Times, if they would have just, and I've already heard from people in the public who totally disagree with me this morning that they think the New York Times was absolutely right. They did nothing wrong, all that, I get it. But if they would have just clarified where those numbers came from in the area it represented, that would have been nice. But it is what it is. But I certainly hear what you're saying, Tom. But I will make sure I put that out on the desk and make sure everybody understands that's a reporting issue at the to the state level and not just 10 deaths all of a sudden in one day.
Thank you.
Brent, Caywood here. You know,
Yes.
You've done a great job explaining the medical side, and I refer to it as the medical side and the public health side. But there's another side that I think needs to also be realized as part of this overall picture that we're having to deal with today, and that's the mental health side. And that's a side that sometimes people don't like to talk about. But when you read about domestic violence being up, suicides being up, that's unfortunately part of the collateral damage of what we've all been going through with COVID. And I ran into Kathy Miles the other day, and she and I were talking about it. And Judge, she offered to come and talk to the court about it because we both felt like it was part of the total picture of what we're dealing with today. And yes, when people start getting their shots, and that hope will turn the tide on that side of it. The mental health side is going to continue on later, I believe. And we need maybe to get an understanding. Kathy will be glad to talk to us. You might want to look at your schedule and think about her coming, as Brent has been kind enough to come today, is to let Kathy come and talk about the mental health side, because I think she could enlighten us on that of that path that I think we've been on for a little while and continue to be on for quite a while. So that's up to your scheduling. But she's offered to do that, and I want to make that known to the court.
Thank you, John. I agree with you 100% on that. I think this next year, once we get the vaccine going and get a little, and get some more people vaccinated and get this thing a little more under control, I think next year we're going to have to deal with the mental health piece. I think we're also going to have to deal with, obviously, the financial piece, as there's going to be businesses that either have not made it during this or are not going to make it possibly based on financial, economic concerns. And so I think we're going to have to deal with that next year. Just a couple more things on that piece. Our syringe exchange numbers throughout this last 10 months have shot up significantly. I did not anticipate that. I had no idea that was going to happen. It has been fascinating to see how many people are coming to get new syringes, and I'm glad they come. That's the purpose of the program. But we've had a lot more people. And to date, the number of cases we've had in Boyle County in the last 10 months have been 1,248. And so, John, I think to your point, those definitely, and Jamie, to your point, those definitely represent more than a number. Those are people who have had a positive COVID and have had to deal with that. Some had no symptoms, some had mild, but some were very sick. So I definitely think that's a number that we do not want to forget.
Well,
Brent.
we need to study that and be aware of what to anticipate it properly.
Brent, have you seen any data on the reports that different blood types are susceptible, other blood types, it's no more than a common cold? Have you seen that?
I have not, Tom. I've heard about that early on in this, but I have not seen any data reports on that.
Thank you.
Well, you got anything else, Brent?
No, I'll finish with this. Again, I appreciate you guys, but please, and I'll make the same request of the city. Please, let's don't give up on our message of social distancing and masking right now, because we still need it probably more now than we did before. And I see Mike Rogers is on, and he's fully masked, and that's kind of what we need for a while. So there's Mike Wilder, he's got his. But I appreciate you guys, and thank you, Judge, for allowing me a few minutes to speak.
Yeah, Mike, Wilder, do you have anything you'd like to add to Brent's comments?
Nothing, Judge, other than just to reiterate everything Brent said. I work pretty closely with Brent, and I don't think there's anybody in this county that can even begin to realize what he does behind the scenes, and hours and hours. I mean, we've had conversations on Sunday night, on Saturday night, and Brent is, I mean, he's super. We're very fortunate to have him. We're going to get into some logistics when it becomes evident that we're going to be passing out the vaccinations to the general public. I think that's emergency management is a support role to the Department of Public Health. We've had several meetings, and we have several things in store. We're trying to get when we start vaccinating the general public. It's going to be a monumental job, but I think we can take care of it without any problem at all. That's about it. That's everything I have, Judge. Good to see everybody again.
Thank you for what you've been doing.
Just like for it to be said that I did consult with Brent Blevins a week and a half ago about how we could up our game at the courthouse as far as public traffic coming into the building to do business with the county and the AOC. And we talked about that. And he said basically the same thing that he said to us today. Let's reemphasize our masking, our social distancing, our hand sanitation. In addition to that, I've asked for everybody that enters the 4th Street entrance initially for the first time of the day in the courthouse that their temperature scans be temporarily scanned, so we know if they have at least something below 100.4. And I think this is proving. We've had a couple of instances we've turned people away on the day. So I think we're doing all that we can do. We sent out a press release to that effect. And Brent, I appreciate your counsel on that.
Thank you, guys.
Judge, I'd just like to say, Brent, I'd like to echo what Mike Wilder said, and we're just fortunate to have a person like you in this community. You don't have all this felt about you, and I just want to say we appreciate you so much, and I'd just personally like to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I certainly appreciate you guys too, and we'll get there. Let's just keep walking on it. We'll get there.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you, Brent. Be blessed.
Thanks.
Rogers, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Got you.
Today, I want to consider our part-time hire, Savannah Fox. She's here behind me. She's going to be part-time, starting at $12 an hour, effective immediately.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
Like it. Motion made by Magistrate Cullen to make
Caywood
the
second.
part. Who seconded it? John Caywood?
Yes.
All right, it's seconded by Magistrate Caywood. Discussion, questions, comment. Savannah is in the room and she can answer questions if anybody has any of them. None. We'll call for a vote of approval on the motion. Magistrate Gay,
Yes.
Magistrate Short. Yes. Magistrate Cullen,
Yes.
Magistrate Caywood,
Yes.
Magistrate Sammons,
Yes.
Magistrate Ellis.
Yes.
That is a unanimous approval. Thank you, Mike. Anything else?
Nope, unless anybody has any questions.
But I would like to ask, if you don't mind, update the court while I've got you right now on the impact of any surge that COVID-19's had on your work schedule with your crews. And you and I have talked about as late as Monday about, I think it was Monday, the days run together on me, about the need to increase our response capability.
Yes, sir. We this past week, we're kind of agree with what Brent Blevins is saying. We're seeing a lot of sick patients, but the EMS system is working good. We're blessed to be able to have the equipment to take care of everybody. As far as the PPE goes, we had several days where we had 26 runs in 24 hours, 23 runs in 24 hours, 22 runs. So it's been really, really busy, but we're able to handle the calls for service. We're going to put a truck on from 1 to 9 o'clock just to help handle those increased needs. COVID just really complicates things with EMS, because if someone's positive for COVID and they need to go somewhere, most time they go by EMS just because you have to be isolated, and that's we're probably the primary people that are trained to be able to protect ourselves and protect the patient from us. So anytime the patient has to go somewhere, usually it's by EMS, like what Brent Blevins was talking about. If the hospital starts to shuffle people around, it's going to be by EMS. And so we're seeing some increased traffic, but the EMS system is working, and we're able to answer all the calls for help. And just want everybody to know that if they need us, just call and we'll be there. Just want to echo what Brent Blevins said. Follow the governor's recommendations, hand washing, and those types of things, so we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. But we're very blessed, and we're glad to be able to help people when they call. So.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mike, and
Can
congratulations. Go ahead.
Judge, can I add something
Yes,
to what
please.
Mike has said? I think we sometimes forget, and Mike is so kind and such a nice guy. Sat through a EMS committee meeting yesterday. I'm going to tell you, after what I've always appreciated them, but if you'd have heard what we talked about yesterday, and I'm not going to get into it, you'll just appreciate and love them more for the job that they do, how tough it is, both physically and mentally, on our EMS staff. And I thank Mike and his leadership and all the other folks out there and the great job they do at a very difficult time in the very difficult situations they have to deal with. Mike, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Well, I would like to echo, as I've said many times in the past 2 years, our Boyle County Emergency Medical Services is quantifiably one of the best in the state. And it's due to the leadership of Director Rogers and his entire staff out there. One person can't do it. It's a team effort, and they are a great team together. And Savannah, congratulations on your hire as being part of an excellent team. So thank you. Anybody else have anything? We're moving on.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court.
Rusty?
Yeah.
Rusty, I see you on. Are you ready to talk about the FEMA reimbursement update?
Yeah, I can give you just a short report. Number one, I want to let you know this thing is still going on. There's no end date. There's no deadline. I've been in touch with our liaison today. The first thing we're going to do before we can even make an official application is to wrap up the CARES with a report and with all the documentation. I think that's about ready to go. I'll be getting with Keagan on that. We'll send that in, and then our actual application will be ready to get started. I'm still trying to find out just what time periods our documentation has to cover. Yeah, I just, if you thought there might be a deadline to this thing's still going on.
Okay, you may got any questions of Rusty? I've got some comments I need to make in relation to Rusty's time on reimbursements. But does anybody have any questions of Rusty?
Is there a possibility, Rusty, of first in, get paid, last in, don't get a dime?
No, not at all.
I don't think so.
Like I said, this whole thing is still going on, and we don't want to, for instance, with the disinfection of the courthouse, which I'm hoping to be able to submit and be eligible, if we had put in before on our original timeline, that would have been afterward. We probably would be totally shut out there. If we do have anything still going on that's costing us due to the COVID-19, then we want to catch as much of that as we can.
Okay, anybody else? I have, Rusty, thank you for that update. I have announcement, that's not really an earth-shattering announcement, but I have some information I want everybody to be in tune with. I got a phone call while I was out on the road last night. I guess it was around 4:30. I responded from a phone call from Magistrate Salmons to get in touch with Jim Henderson, who is the CEO, Executive Director of Caywood, Kentucky Association of Counties. He informed me that he was doing some calls in regard to Governor Beshear's plan to utilize additional $80 million in CARES reimbursement considerations for county governments. Immediately after that, talking with Jim Henderson, I got on the phone with Keagan Hinkle last night. I informed him of what we need to do. He's in the process, and he can address this, what he's done to finish up our initial CARES reimbursement allocation commitment to get us to the total there, so that we would then be eligible for a proportional share of an additional 80 million CARES reimbursement that the governor separately has announced that he's planning to utilize in county governments. That all has to transpire very shortly and before the end of this month. Go ahead.
Yes, the lady I talked to on the phone today did mention something about that, so I was going to bring that up, especially with Keagan. Yeah, we may be able to take some of this. The way they explain it to me, FEMA is absolutely the last resort after everything else has been exhausted. So if we can get more money through CARES or any other organization, federal organization or state, we're supposed to do that first, and FEMA is supposed to be the absolute last resort. So I will be meeting with Keagan on some things, and this extra CARES money might be something we can utilize.
So what I just said, and what Rusty has heard from another source, is, in my personal opinion, extremely very good potential, good news for Boyle County and other counties throughout the Commonwealth. And we have, in discussions last night, a plan to become current with the initial allocation, and we have a plan thought through that we're in the midst of discussing that will get us into participation in the second offer. All right. If there's no comments or questions on that, then we'll move right along.
Thank you.
The next one. Excuse me?
Thank you.
We'll move on to our county treasurer, Keagan Hinkle, for his portion of the agenda.
Keep it short and sweet this time. I just need to approve Judge Wolford on his training and incentive payment for $21.5630 for completing 40 hours of training under the salary.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Yep.
Motion made by Magic Collins. Who seconded? I didn't see.
Salmons.
Yep.
Salmon second.
Salmon seconded. All right. Any discussion on the approval of the compensation? All those in favor signify by, let's go down to roll call. Jamie Gay?
Yes.
Ronnie Short? Yes, I see the hand wave. Magic Cullen?
Yes.
Magic Salmons?
Yes.
Magic Caywood?
Yes.
Magic Dallas?
Yes.
All right, that motion is approved. What else you got, Keagan?
That'll be it.
That'd be it, short and sweet. New business. We'll start out with, I'm going on top of my screen down. Magic Gay.
No new business.
No new business. Magic Short. No new business. All right, Magic Cullen.
Yes. I hate to rehash the previous meeting, but I just wanted to get an update on the printer and where we fell with that. Did we still honor the vote, or did we have time to maybe think about it? Where are we at with that?
We have honored the vote. I personally tried to cancel the order, and it was non-cancelable, and we have not taken receipt of the printer yet, and it's apparently on its way. So,
But it was my understanding that no matter what, if we didn't like this printer, we could send it back. So now you're telling me it's not cancelable?
that's correct. In the order, yeah.
So when it gets here, we can say we don't like it. They can come pick it up and send it back. Is that the way this is going to be? Because I thought this was going to be the best thing since sliced bread with how great this company was.
It being the best thing since sliced bread.
But they're not living up to their reputation already. While we trashed a local business's reputation. Is that what I'm understanding, or?
I would like to comment that the expeditious way that it was gone after and the lengthy discussion we had 2 weeks ago, certainly put it to bed for me.
Okay, well, that's
I
fine.
don't
Hasn't
think-
for me though, nor has it put to bed for some people that have reached out to me. So, that want to know why we're still not going with a local company. And I thought maybe that the conversations were ahead that kind of resolved some of the issues or misconceptions that we had set against a wonderful local business that's been here for 70 years. And maybe we had a little bit of reconsideration, kind of like we did for the initial vote, where we accepted the bid for DOE. So I had hoped that since we had the full ability to return this thing, no questions asked, no matter what, under their stellar, contract or whatever, that maybe we would have looked again to stay local.
Try a machine that you haven't gotten yet, nor have you used it. So I think it's unfair to say that we dislike the machine when we have not gotten it yet.
We haven't taken.
Yeah, but according to what I heard before, no matter what, we could return this machine under a certain amount of months for 100%.
Well, I would make the consideration to read the contract and see what the wording is there on it.
You said.
But anyway, I did talk to the local proprietor of the business and said that I had agreed to cancel the contract. It was non-cancelable, and so we're going to take receipt of it and we'll see what goes from there.
Okay, all right. Hope this is a lesson learned for going forward when we're doing stuff. So the only other question I have is there any way that we could do something for Magistrate Short to get him a working laptop with a microphone or something?
Well, I hope so.
What about
Yeah, I have one.
And so does Salmons and
I mean,
Ellis.
I'm working on my tablet. So if we can at least get them maybe a tablet to borrow for a little bit. I don't know if Bill has any extra of the Surfaces or whatever, but if you can load some of those up for.
We talked at one time about the court buying, supplying each magistrate one of those magistrate columns.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
that's all you got, Justin?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, Mr. Salmons.
No, sir, no new business.
That's Caywood.
Yes, I do, sir. This is a combination of a little bit of old, but also I think hope to give some direction to go forward with this. And this pertains to the kennel. I don't know if you, Judge, you want to give an update to the court of our meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago.
Along with Magistrate Cullen and Magistrate Caywood and myself to discuss some of the noise and nuisance issues regarding the kennel on Maple Avenue. And they presented some information to myself and the magistrates. And we, when we left that meeting, I think what we had left with was the intent to examine further language that could potentially address either noise or nuisance type issues within the county. And those are currently under review by Ms. Julie Wagner in research, and we have not yet come with anything that is presentable to the court.
I thank you for that update, and you did it very well. I thought you said what you needed to say. I would like to ask Julie and maybe Chris. My understanding is that the judicial part of this is pretty much over with, and that the judge has ruled that things were done properly. I don't know if Chris is tuned in or not, but that's my understanding. Is that right?
I mean, the judge made a ruling that it was proper for, what happened with planning and zoning and everything. But I think Mr. Hinkle's attorney, Miss Peace's attorney, which is the same one. He's made some motions before the court. Recently made some motion to add a party. I think maybe it was the people who sold the land to the dog kennel owners. Then it was withdrawn, and I mean, I think there's still a motion out there for reconsideration by the judge. So, I mean, litigation is not, it's still pending.
I think that may, I'm not sure, but I've heard that last motion for reconsideration has been dropped. I'm not sure, Chris. And I just what I've heard too.
And I've heard the same thing. However, so if we're saying that the legal options maybe have closed, the court of public opinion has not closed. Therefore, I'm going to ask that the court consider and duly consider that under the nuisance ordinance of the city, there's a section that talks about animals and barking, and that section be sent to all the magistrates, and we will have a future discussion about looking at doing a nuisance ordinance to prevent this type of thing from happening again, and to maybe give some folks open another door for them to pursue, because, as I said, the court of public opinion is still pretty hot right now. I think maybe we can help to keep this from happening again, as well as maybe be able to help with the situation that's presently occurring.
Hey, John, can I jump in real quick?
Yes, sir. Please do.
So you and I were both in that meeting, and actually I talked to Mr. Hinkle yesterday, and so it's got me thinking a lot more. And I reached out to Fizzy Ramsey, who's from the Humane Society, about her thoughts on this, and I think an all-out noise ordinance is not the right way to go for the county, because there's so many things that can go wrong with that. Can we lock down maybe just? I mean, I know dog kennels have not been. This is not the first time we've had a problem with dog kennels. So maybe can we lock down something specifically on dog kennels? Can we kind of go through, whether it's P&Z or through a specific ordinance regarding dog kennels, to really hold them to a higher, tighter standard, instead of creating a whole new ordinance that could affect, I mean, given all the agriculture on Tom's side of the county and all the agriculture on my side, we start kind of adding a noise ordinance that pertains to dogs, and next thing you know, we're going to be all over the place. So I
agree with. I hate to interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
But I'm going to have to agree with John on this noise ordinance. I've got the same problem out here in my district with this noise. I mean, he's following the proper procedures on the number of dogs he's allowed to have, but he's got the dogs right next to a beautiful home, and he turns them out, and the dogs bark and carry on. I think a noise ordinance would help.
Well, I would ask you to review the Danville ordinance, and then we have a discussion after everybody's kind of updated on their direction. And Jason, I'm very open, and I understand what you're saying but this isn't going to go away, and I understand why it's not going to go away. I think this is a heck of a situation, my friends. And I don't think we put it under the table. I think we put it on top of the table, and we try to help everybody that's involved. And I think we can with collecting knowledge and ideas and just going on. This isn't going away.
I'd like for Chris to review the city ordinance and maybe give us a report next meeting. What he's our county attorney, and we rely on his expertise. So if he would be so kind as look at over and advise us what we can actually do. I'd really appreciate that.
There's a very slippery slope. Tom Ellis here, as one who's raised hounds and had litters of hounds and sold hounds, and knowing that in my very large area, we've got a lot of hunters who keep hounds of all varieties, including rabbit dogs and coon hounds. I think we've got to be very, very careful about how extensive we do something like this.
Right. So I kind of
Tom, around the county, if they're in the county, you're not going to have any problem with, even if we had the ordinance. It's not really going to affect people out in the county. It's got coon hounds and so on, because those coon hound people are not in the subdivisions and so on that we have in the county.
It's gonna be difficult to do it legally. I don't envy Chris on this.
Julie has something she'd like to.
Okay, I have found something interesting that I would like you to just kind of ponder. There are counties that license kennels, and they have a review and an inspection process. They pay an annual fee. There are some pretty strict requirements as to what these kennels can do and the condition that they keep the kennels in, how they treat the dogs, how they deal with the waste, and how they deal with the noise. So what I'd like to do is put that together and see if you want to go the route of licensing kennels first, because I think that's less controversial than the licensing noise. If you prefer not to license the kennels, there are counties that do have barking dog ordinances, but I don't know how you would police it, because it's something like if a dog on a regular basis barks for 20 minutes or longer within so many feet of a residential district, well, how do you measure that 20 minutes, or how do you measure that length of time? So perhaps we should look at a kennel licensing process first and just see if that's even something you're interested in.
Thank
Well,
you.
that
Already.
Would that be on future kennels, Julie?
It would be on all kennels, all kennels.
Retro?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would think so. It'd be like passing a business license and then you don't grandfather in businesses. So I would think you.
Thank you for bringing that up, Julie, because I think this is perfect, because I've been wanting to pass a business license for about a year now because of our Airbnb problems. And so if we institute just a broad business license, and we have specifics on various things, like one for dog kennels, one for Airbnbs or whatever, then it doesn't look like we're going just after dog kennels, because that could be challenged. I'd worry about that. But yeah, if we can do something with business licenses in general in the county, because we don't have that, that will help out greatly all around. But I like that idea.
I just want to be sure that this continues to be reviewed and worked on and discussed, and that we try to come up with a solution that will satisfy everybody.
I say let's put it on the agenda till it's done.
And the reason that I kind of thought Chris would, well, it makes sense to me that you all read the ordinance that Danville has. And Julie, I would ask you to consider sending that particular section out to all the magistrates so that they are informed of what of the approach of Danville in handling this.
Okay.
I think one thing Danville said was that they may be looking to change that ordinance. So we may want to speak with them first, because the enforcement of it is the larger issue. You know, it's a decimal. It's 20. I mean, it's like 75 decibels for more than 20 minutes, and so there's a code enforcement option of that you know, we'd have to look at doing code enforcement or whatever. And so that's going to be, I mean, I don't want to create just something where we can't enforce it and then we're back to the same problem. So that's what we got to think about too. And John, you're right. Maybe just Chris and Julie get together and figure out a good way to handle this that's enforceable.
There's a lot of parts to this puzzle, so we got to try to put the puzzle together.
It always is.
Okay, anything else, John?
No, sir.
Tom, your business?
Got 2 or 3 here. First of all, last night, or excuse me, 2 or 3 days ago, the city council in Perryville elected to rescind their acceptance of our playground equipment. Magistrate Caywood, I think your wisdom prevailed, both in terms of the age of the equipment, the liabilities that they would have, and the cost of transferring it and putting it in the ground in Perryville. So that has taken place. The second thing is, I spoke with the judge this morning on nominations, and I'm bringing forward former Magistrate Dickie May's name to continue on the Parksville Water District Board of Directors. And I know that the judge is going to speak to that at the end here for others. And the last is, please drive Mitchellsburg Knob, and I'd like by these minutes to express sincere appreciation to the state. I'm getting calls now, very positive calls, and important to the court. Chief Sexton has opened up for emergency vehicles to go over the top of the knob now.
It's all good stuff. Anything else, Tom?
No, sir.
All right. The only thing is, in regard to is Mitch Dickie Mays as a candidate to continue on as the county representative to the Parksville Water District Board. He has said that he is willing to continue to serve. I am opening this up for any other nominations that you might want to consider, and we'll put him on the 17 December agenda for consideration.
Are there others, Julie?
I've got a couple names on.
I mean, are there others we ought to consider on the 17th?
Yes.
Judge?
Yes.
I don't even know for sure what, can you name those boards?
You want me to list who's open?
That would help everybody else to know if they wanted to submit names.
Okay, so we have an opening on there are two openings on the county extension board for the county that expire at the end of the year. There's the Parksville Water Board, there's the PVA Appeals Board, there's Planning and Zoning, and I think one more, and I can't remember it, but I will send, I tried to talk to each of you about these. So I will send out the master list of appointments coming up for the judge. If that's your
If you
pleasure.
have any input, then make sure we know about it as soon as we can need to take action on the votes.
So we can do
Who
them
came
all on
off,
17th.
who came off the planning and zoning board? Can I ask that question?
What was that?
Who came off the planning and zoning that we have to refill their place?
I'll have to send you the list. The other board is the Human Rights Commission. That's the other one. I will send you the sheet I'm working off of that tells what the board is, what their purpose is, whose term expires, and then any suggested names on the next column. And then you guys can look at them for Judge Hunt to give him input.
If you don't care, text that to me on the who all's on the planning and zoning board. I'd like to see that.
Okay.
All right, that's all I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
All right, motion made by Eric Simmons, seconded by,
Caywood.
we can say here, Patrick Caywood. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We'll do a visual. I see unanimous support. Phil seconds, John Caywood, you say yes.
Yes.
Can't see my hand, Judge, but I got it raised high.
All right. We thank you. We stand in adjournment.